It's July 20th, and the strange side of history awaits. Today, we have a father's tragic quest that ended a decade too late, a woman whose reputation was destroyed after her death, and an engine powered by an unlikely fuel. Let's begin. On July 20th, 1985, a radio message cracked across the waters of the Florida Keys. After 16 years of searching, treasure hunter Mel Fletcher's crew had finally located the lost Spanish galleon, the Nuestra Señora de Atocha. But the date carried a haunting significance. Exactly 10 years earlier to the day, in 1975, Fisher's salvage vessel, the Northwind, suffered a blight pump failure and capsized during the search. His 21-year-old son, Dirk's wife Angel, and a diver, Rick Gage, were trapped below deck and drowned. The tragedy could have ended everything. Instead, Fisher continued to search, repeating the same hopeful words, "Today's the day." Then exactly 10 years after his son's death, Fisher's surviving son, Kane, radioed from the sea. They had found the main wreckage. Beneath the sand lay a glittering reef of silver bars, coins, gold, jewelry, and Colombian emeralds valued at approximately $450 million. But still, the Atocha may still be guarding its greatest secrets. Hundreds of silver bars, several cannons, and the captain's cabin have never been found. Nearly 4 centuries after the ship sank, part of its treasure was found, but there's still some waiting in the darkness. On July 20th, 1889, 6 armed cattlemen arrived at 2 small homesteads beside Wyoming's Sweetwater River. Their targets were Ella Watson, Jim Vero. Ella owned land containing water desperately needed by a powerful rancher, Albert Bothwell. When she and Jim refused to surrender their property, Bothwell and 5 allies forced them into a wagon and carried them to a secluded ridge. There, without a real trial, they hung them. But killing the couple was only the beginning. Before the bodies were even buried, friendly newspapers began transforming Ella into something that had never existed. They called her Cattle Kate, describing her as a prostitute and notorious cattle thief who accepted stolen calves as payment. Yet surviving records tell another story. Ella had legally registered her cattle brand, owned a small legitimate herd, and was never known as Cattle Kate when she was alive. The accused killers were arrested, but the key witness vanished before trial, so no one was ever punished, and Bothwell eventually gained control of the victim's land. Ella had been murdered once by the men who hanged her, and again after the story they invented after. On July 20th, 1807, 2 French brothers received a patent for an engine powered by explosions made from plant spores. Claude and Nicephore Niepce called their invention the Pire au Lafour, and it was widely considered as the world's first internal combustion engine. Inside its heavy copper chamber, mechanical bellows scattered fine spores into the air. The spores were harmless while sitting in a pile, but when they were dispersed into the cloud, became violently combustible. A flame ignited the cloud, creating a sudden burst of expanding gas. This forced a jet of water from the exhaust pipe, pushing the boat forward towards short, unnatural surges. When the brothers installed this aboard a vessel, it successfully carried a boat upstream without sails, oars, or a steam engine. But this invention had one fatal weakness. The spores were too expensive and impractical for everyday use, forcing the brothers to experiment with coal dust and resin instead. Claude continued to pursue the engine, while Nicephore turned towards another impossible idea. Years later, he would create the world's oldest surviving photo. Before he learned to preserve an image with light, he helped move a boat using exploding spores. Another day, another strange bite from history. Like, comment, and subscribe. Your next eerie dose is just a day away.